Every morning, millions of people wake up asking the same quiet question. How much money do you really need to feel safe and free? Maybe you have asked yourself this before. If your income suddenly doubled tomorrow, would your life finally feel easier? Many people believe money solves everything. Stress disappears, confidence grows, life finally feels under control. Since childhood, the world quietly teaches you one rule: earn more money and life becomes better. But something strange happens when income grows. The problems do not disappear, they simply change shape. Some people earn a lot of money, yet still feel tired, pressured, and strangely empty inside. Meanwhile, someone earning very little can still laugh, dream, and feel hopeful about tomorrow. So the real question is not just how much money you earn in one month. The real question is what truly changes as your income slowly climbs higher. Time moves quickly while people chase a bigger number every single year. At first, money looks like a finish line waiting somewhere far ahead. But every time you reach a new level, another finish line quietly appears. Around you, people earn different incomes, yet everyone seems busy chasing something. Social media makes it look like everyone else is already winning the race. And quietly, comparison begins to grow inside your mind. Because money is not just numbers, it changes your time, choices, and pressure. At lower income levels, every small expense can feel like a serious decision. At higher income levels, money can sometimes feel almost invisible. But behind all of this, something deeper is happening. Your mindset quietly evolves as your income grows. When you are young, money simply looks like dreams. Later in life, money often begins to look like survival, and one day, money slowly becomes a tool instead of a goal. The journey from $5,000 to $500,000 is not only financial. Each income level opens a different door in your life, but every door also hides new challenges you did not expect. Millions of people are climbing the same ladder in different ways. Today, you will see what life really feels like at each level, from $5,000 all the way to $500,000. Let's start at the first level, where most journeys begin. Your salary arrives, and for a moment, you finally breathe again after a long month. The number is not terrible, but it is also not enough to feel completely relaxed. At this level, budgeting is not optional. It becomes a survival skill. You compare prices carefully, sometimes saving just a few dollars. Your wallet quietly reminds you that every dollar still matters. You feel a strange tension every time the cashier scans another item. Simple groceries can sometimes feel like a financial decision. Most days feel like a cycle of work, commute, and responsibilities. Time moves quickly when every hour is connected to your income. At this stage, many people trade time directly for money. You hear conversations about travel and luxury, but they still feel far away. Lunch breaks sometimes become moments of quiet reflection. The financial ladder ahead still looks very tall, but many people begin learning new skills during these quiet nights. Knowledge slowly becomes more valuable than comfort. Some people start writing down the future they want to build. Millions of people around the world are walking this same financial path. Your brain quietly calculates everything all the time. Yet life still offers small, peaceful moments. Friendship often becomes the most affordable luxury. You begin thinking more seriously about your future, because deep inside, you know this is only the beginning. Every habit you build today plants a seed. Progress often begins in moments nobody else sees. Sometimes improvement appears in unexpected ways. Even a small increase can feel like a victory, because slowly, you start climbing. The next level might already be closer than you think. Once income crosses $8,000, something interesting begins to change. Life becomes slightly easier, but new pressures quietly appear. The paycheck is slightly higher now, but your responsibilities quietly grow at the same time. Money feels more real when you realize how many hours of work each dollar represents. You begin checking your balance less out of fear and more out of strategy. Some evenings turn into quiet working sessions where ideas slowly start forming. You begin searching for direction instead of simply surviving each month. You notice how the world runs on money, politics, and decisions made far above your level. Cities like New York, London, and Tokyo quietly move trillions of dollars every day. Some people begin studying success stories during simple moments like a commute. Names like Elon Musk Warren Buffett or Steve Jobs, suddenly feel less distant. You realize many of them once started far below where you are today. The idea of building something bigger slowly enters your mind. Saving money begins to feel less like restriction and more like preparation. Long hours still exist, but now they feel more purposeful. You start realizing that time may be more valuable than money, because every successful person eventually learns how to protect their time. Mentors sometimes appear quietly, offering advice when you least expect it. Small lessons from experienced people can change your entire direction. At this income level, choices begin to multiply. Career, business, investment, or something completely unexpected. The important thing is that you keep moving. The numbers slowly grow, almost quietly. Not dramatically, but steadily. Step by step, the ladder becomes less intimidating. Confidence slowly replaces the uncertainty you once felt. You begin thinking about money not just as income, but as a tool that can eventually work for you. The world suddenly looks bigger when your mindset expands. Money can open doors, but only if you know where to walk. And somewhere ahead, a new level of income is already waiting, because once income crosses $15,000, life begins changing in ways you never expected. At this level, money finally starts to feel a little less like a constant emergency. You no longer panic about every small expense, and breathing becomes slightly easier. For the first time, you stop comparing every single price tag. Bills still exist, but they stop feeling like enemies chasing you every month. Dinner with friends becomes something normal instead of a financial calculation. Buying something new for yourself no longer feels like committing a crime. Confidence grows quietly when financial pressure slowly loosens its grip. For the first time, a small savings account begins to appear. Climbing the financial ladder suddenly feels possible, not imaginary. Life is still busy, but stress no longer fills every corner of your mind. Your work responsibilities begin to grow together with your income. Each salary notification starts to feel slightly more rewarding. Time finally stops feeling like something you constantly owe money to. You start considering tools that can improve your work and future. But something interesting begins happening inside your mind. Your goals start becoming larger than simple survival. You begin learning how money can grow instead of only being spent. One smart financial decision can create waves far into the future. You start investing not only in money, but also in yourself. At this stage, you notice the invisible economic ladder everywhere. As income grows, your world slowly becomes bigger, but so do your expectations. You begin noticing how people around you seem to live very different financial lives. The financial ladder becomes visible once you start climbing it yourself. You start asking a new question that never appeared before. If this is possible, how much higher could life actually go? Career conversations begin replacing survival conversations. You hear new words more often now: investing, assets, financial freedom. Money starts behaving less like paper and more like a system. At this stage, curiosity becomes one of your most valuable tools. Confidence slowly grows when effort begins producing visible results. You begin seeing a lifestyle that once felt completely unreachable. Opportunities often appear when your financial pressure becomes lighter. Many people start planning their long-term future around this level. Life finally allows space for thinking, not only surviving. Your environment begins changing together with your habits. When systems start working together, progress becomes smoother. Sometimes progress arrives quietly through a simple notification. Small wins often create powerful motivation. You realize something important about money. Money is not only survival anymore, it becomes momentum. Networking suddenly becomes a serious opportunity, not just a buzzword. Every new connection might lead somewhere unexpected. Success rarely grows alone. It grows through networks. You begin understanding that strategy matters more than raw effort. For the first time, your future feels partially under your control, but every new level brings a new kind of pressure. More income usually means more responsibility, and the higher the ladder goes, the more interesting the journey becomes. Millions of people are climbing different financial steps right now. Some climb slowly, some climb quickly, but the ladder itself never stops growing. You start wondering what the next financial level might look like because something new begins happening inside your mindset. You stop thinking about limits and start thinking about possibilities. Ambition grows quietly when survival disappears. Progress becomes addictive once you start seeing it clearly. And sometimes growth begins accelerating faster than you expected. When income reaches $15,000, the game changes again. Because the next level is not only about comfort anymore, the next stage begins when money stops being income and starts becoming power. When your income crosses $15,000, survival quietly disappears from your daily thoughts. Money is no longer just something you earn. It becomes something you manage. You begin understanding that money works best when it starts working for you. At this stage, information suddenly becomes extremely valuable. Many people start thinking seriously about investments for the first time. Your conversations slowly shift from salaries to opportunities. Your mind begins thinking beyond your local environment. You realize that industries change quickly and opportunities move even faster. Some people start entering the real game of money around this level. The latter becomes more complex, but also more interesting. With more income, you start caring more about energy and discipline. Your environment slowly begins reflecting your financial growth. You notice that small percentages can create surprisingly large results. Money starts behaving more like mathematics than effort. You start meeting people who think very differently about money. Sometimes a single conversation can completely change your perspective, because this level offers a very important choice. Do you stay comfortable, or do you push for something bigger? Many people begin questioning their long-term purpose. Direction becomes more important than speed, because serious money requires serious thinking. Leadership opportunities often begin appearing around this stage. You realize that influence can multiply your value. Teams can produce results that individuals cannot. You begin studying people who built something extraordinary. History quietly becomes a teacher. You begin imagining what your own legacy could be. Ambition grows quietly, just like a seed. Unexpected doors begin opening once your network expands. Sometimes opportunity arrives disguised as simple conversation. Money flows strongly in places where ideas meet execution. Capital always moves toward intelligence and courage. Curiosity becomes a powerful financial advantage. Your daily routine slowly becomes sharper and more intentional. Because you finally understand something important. Income is not the limit. Expansion is. Growth begins feeling real, and the city suddenly looks full of opportunity. Every building represents thousands of financial stories. Some people stay comfortable here, others prepare for the next leap. Because momentum is building, confidence slowly replaces doubt. You realize the ladder never truly ends. It only becomes taller, and suddenly you notice something new. The next level is no longer impossible. It is simply the next floor. When income approaches $40,000, the financial world changes again, because now you are entering the territory where wealth truly begins. At this level, money starts changing your environment. The rooms you enter become bigger and quieter. You are no longer just working for money. Sometimes you are helping guide the direction of it. But higher income does not remove pressure. It only upgrades the pressure. Deals often happen over quiet dinners instead of noisy offices. Your phone becomes a small control center of responsibility. Long hours slowly become normal. You begin to realize health is part of real wealth. Success feels different when the room becomes quiet. The higher you climb, the more complex the game becomes. You are no longer dreaming about success. You are learning to manage it. People start recognizing your position before they know your story. At this stage, strategy becomes more important than effort. Time slowly becomes more valuable than money. Every step upward carries new expectations. Sometimes people now look to you for answers. Money at this level starts demanding intelligence. Responsibility quietly grows heavier. From up here, the world looks different. Your mind begins thinking in larger numbers, but peace still remains the real luxury. At this level, work sometimes moves faster than your personal life. Your office is no longer one place. It can be anywhere with a signal. Numbers become bigger, and so do the consequences behind every decision. Success sometimes comes with quiet exhaustion. New cities, new meetings, new responsibilities. Networking becomes part of the job. Sometimes the most important conversations happen quietly, but the higher you go, the lonelier the hallway can feel. More money also means more choices, but not every choice leads to happiness. Late nights quietly become normal. The game now requires strategy. Money at this level begins to look like chess, yet sometimes you just need fresh air. Success feels different when shared. Balance slowly becomes a skill. You realize this ladder may go much higher. The scale of responsibility keeps growing. Vision becomes more important than effort. The world looks different from higher floors. Money now moves faster than before. Confidence slowly replaces hesitation. Your steps feel heavier with responsibility. Markets begin to influence your decisions. Time becomes the rarest asset. You are no longer chasing money. You are managing it. But another level is still waiting ahead. The climb is far from finished. Once income crosses $100,000, the game changes again. And the next level is where real wealth begins to appear. At this level, money stops being survival. It begins to look like strategy. Your income is no longer just a salary. It starts coming from multiple directions. You are no longer just working inside the system. You are learning how the system works. Money at this stage begins to move like energy through networks. Your network quietly becomes more valuable than your resume. At this level, markets start to influence your mood. You begin building a machine that produces income. Because time alone can no longer create the wealth you want. You begin thinking in years, not just months. Confidence grows when you understand how money really works. Your financial world slowly becomes global. Comfort improves, but expectations grow even faster. Health suddenly becomes a serious investment. Your environment slowly changes. But the ladder still continues upward. Knowledge now compounds faster than money. Politics, markets, and history suddenly start to matter. You begin studying the minds of great builders. You realize wealth is rarely accidental, but money also raises deeper questions. What is all this wealth really for? Sometimes the answer is simpler than expected. Helping others climb can feel surprisingly meaningful, because real wealth rarely grows alone. The numbers finally begin moving faster. Decisions now carry real weight. Your financial engine starts running smoothly. You feel closer to the top than ever before. Perspective changes everything, but the next level operates on an entirely different scale. Because wealth eventually becomes legacy, the seeds planted years ago begin to grow. You are no longer chasing opportunity. Opportunity begins chasing you. But the final level changes everything again, because the world of high wealth plays by different rules. Once income crosses $250,000, you enter the territory of serious wealth. But strangely, the biggest question is no longer money. It becomes purpose. Because true wealth is not just about how much you earn. It is about what you build for others and how long your impact will last. The game is changing again because time now becomes more valuable than money. And the next level asks a deeper question. What will you do with this power? Because the final level begins where very few people arrive, and the journey is still not finished. Welcome to the final level of wealth. At this income level, the world starts to feel bigger, and your decisions feel heavier. Every choice now carries weight, but also possibility. Professionalism becomes second nature, and first impressions matter even more. You start analyzing numbers differently, thinking long term rather than month to month. The world seems to offer more, but responsibilities quietly grow. Opportunities appear like beams of light. Choose which ones to chase. Mobility and freedom expand, yet choices about time become more crucial. Influence grows, but so does the pressure to lead wisely. Even moments of leisure carry the potential for growth and reflection. Perspective shifts. Money now buys time, but not always clarity. Financial peaks feel surreal, yet your focus defines the next step. Luxury surrounds you, but humility keeps you grounded. Decisions now impact more people, family, team, and projects. Reflection becomes critical. Your choices echo beyond the wallet. Each opportunity is a sphere. Some shine, some dim. Choose wisely. Travel becomes smoother, yet your attention still must track every detail. Health becomes a conscious investment because money cannot buy vitality. Balance is possible when you actively seek it. Emotions and pressures swirl, but presence guides each decision. Dining out becomes an experience, not a worry. You begin to see the world differently. Possibilities expand. Knowledge remains the most reliable asset, no matter income. Paths ahead appear illuminated, but require courage to walk. Even challenges feel smaller when you have resources to navigate them. Leadership now requires thoughtfulness and vision. Every action carries impression, every choice builds reputation. Success feels elevated, yet perspective keeps you humble. New ventures excite, and you feel capable of tackling bigger goals. Confidence grows, but humility keeps your connections real. Every morning is a reminder. Growth continues, choices matter. The world feels within reach, but focus remains critical. Every move counts because your actions influence more than you realize. Choices multiply, each with its own path and consequences. You begin to navigate complexity with clarity and calm. Even personal projects benefit from professional discipline. Freedom grows, yet responsibility quietly follows. Opportunities shine everywhere, but not every light is meant to follow. Moments of peace are treasured because they are hard-earned. Perspective deepens. You see not just wealth, but responsibility. Preparation becomes routine because peaks are maintained, not given. Bridges of opportunity appear, yet crossing requires courage and choice. Challenges are larger, but resilience is stronger than ever. Strategic thinking becomes second nature. Details are never ignored. Reflection deepens your understanding of what truly matters. Influence now spreads wider, yet humility keeps you relatable. The flow of opportunities is constant, and timing becomes key. Every sunrise reminds you there is still more to achieve. Knowledge compounds over time, more valuable than money itself. Numbers and data swirl, yet you control the path you take. At the peak, you realize wealth brings freedom, responsibility, and perspective. After every level of income, something important becomes clear. Money changes many things in life, but it never changes the importance of peace. Every level brought new comfort, but also new responsibility. Each step upward made the view wider, and each step reminded him how far he had come. But happiness never came from numbers alone. It came from balance, from understanding what truly matters. Income levels measure progress, but they never measure purpose. Purpose is something deeper, something that grows with experience, and something money can never replace. Because at the end of the day, life is not only about earning more, it's about living better, learning, growing, and building something meaningful. No matter where you start or how far you go, the journey will always teach you something about money, about ambition, and about life. Because in the end, the number in your bank account is only one chapter, but the story of your life is much bigger.